Hey gang, and welcome back. This week we're going to take a look at a commander who recently appeared in one of my gameplay videos. This is Queen Marchesa. First printed in Conspiracy Take the Crown, but while she was found lacking when compared to a Sultai commander, I found her quite interesting in comparison to other Mardu commanders. Unlike Alesha, Kalia, or Zergo, who all want to attack, Queen Marchesa's ability, while relevant for the combat step, is not devoted entirely around swinging your creatures. Let's give her a quick rundown. For 1 colorless, 1 red, 1 white, and 1 black, we get a 3/3 human assassin with death touch and haste. I'm always a fan of commanders that have haste, as it means they're able to do stuff as soon as they come into play, but Queen Marchesa has 2 relevant triggered abilities that really push her over the top. Her first ability reads, when Queen Marchesa enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Monarch was introduced with Conspiracy 2, and it reads, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. No, I didn't misread that. There was clearly a printing error when this went to press. Being the Monarch comes with a secondary triggered ability which reads, whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, its controller becomes the Monarch. What this means is that we have a hasty, death-touching general who also gives us card advantage provided we're able to protect ourselves. But that's not all. Queen Marchesa comes with a secondary triggered ability which happens on your upkeep should you not be the Monarch. It reads, at the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the Monarch, put a 1/1 black assassin creature token onto the battlefield with haste and death touch. This is a great way to get Monarch back should you lose it during one of your opponent's combat steps. And it's even better as it triggers every upkeep that you're not Monarch, so you continue to gain 1/1 death touch assassins. With all that being said, we're left with a Mardu commander who doesn't necessarily live for the combat step, but she's certainly impacted by it. So now that we know what she does, what she likes, and how she does it, let's look into making the most of your Queen Marchesa deck. The first issue we need to address is Monarch. Monarch is an interesting mechanic, and it's cool how it bounces around the table, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are always Monarch and our opponents gain no card advantage over us. This is already easy enough to do, as Queen Marchesa herself is a great blocker thanks to her death touch. But unfortunately, a 3/3 human assassin isn't going to stop some of the giant creatures that we see in EDH, so we don't always want to trade our commander. Thankfully, this iteration of Marchesa is in white, which means we have access to a generous amount of white enchantment cards to help us prevent our opponents from attacking or punish them for doing so. As we really want to deter our opponents from attacking us, the first cards on this list are Ghostly Prison and Sphere of Safety. Forcing an opponent to choose whether they have to pay mana or attack us is always a good thing, as it causes them to have to reevaluate what their plan is and how important being Monarch is. Speaking of white enchantments that deter attacking, Blind Obedience and Authority of the Consuls are great white cheap enchantments that not only gain us life, but also deal with haste creatures. Since opponents can only steal Monarch from us through the combat step, by running these 2 cards, we are able to guarantee that no hasty creature is going to steal Monarch away from us. They also allow us to gain incremental amounts of life, which can help us in the long run, as black is often using life to draw cards. Now, unfortunately, due to the one of nature in EDH, you're not always going to draw into these cards, so you really want to cover all bases, and especially run some enchantments that will prevent damage from being dealt to you. Enter Delaying Shield and Righteous Aura. Both of these enchantments will ultimately cost us life, but they prevent us from being dealt damage in the combat step, which means that we save Monarch for ourselves. The last enchantment to run in Queen Marchesa that I would recommend is a black enchantment that functions similarly to Ghost Prison or Sphere of Safety in that it causes our opponents to have to pay before attacking us. Koskin Falls is a mono black enchantment that costs 4 and causes our opponents to have to pay 2 to attack us. However, unlike Ghostly Prison, it comes with an upkeep cost of having to tap one of our creatures in order for it to work. I'm leaving this to the end of my list, as frankly, having to tap a creature in order to keep this on the field is not necessarily something we always want to do, and there have been more than one occasion where I don't have any creatures and have had to lose the enchantment as a result. It's an interesting card for sure, and I feel like it's worth a mention, but unless you're looking for a critical mass of taxing effects, you could probably get by without running this. For spells, I think it's safe to say that Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile will go easily into any white deck you could find. In addition, another great way to prevent yourself from being attacked is by never allowing any creatures to be on the field, and running a great deal of board wipes is a great way to achieve that goal. Based on your budget, Day of Judgment, Wrath of God, Damnation, Blasphemous Act, Rout will easily do the job, and I would recommend running between 2 and 3 of these effects. For artifacts, Whisper Silk Cloak is a very powerful equipment as it allows one of our creatures to get in and get Monarch back without being blocked. I would also recommend Nim Deathmantle as it's a great combo card and it works especially well with Queen Marchesa if you've built a Pillowfort deck that wins without attacking. But I'll go into that combo at the end of the video. You'll also want to run the typical signets, but I would also recommend Thought Vessel, as you'll be drawing a ton of cards if you're able to maintain Monarch for long enough. For my Queen Marchesa deck, I chose to run creatures that would either help prevent me from being attacked, punish my opponents for doing things, or help me find cards in my deck. 2 of my favorites, Archangel of Tithes and Windborn Muse, act as ghostly prisons with bodies, and they have flying so they're able to get over even the beefiest of ground blockers. Vryn Wingmare and Kambal Console of Allocation are fantastic cards to have sitting on your side of the field, taxing your opponents either for life or mana in order to cast non-creature spells. The last creature I would recommend that isn't based around a combo is Archfiend of Depravity. This 5-drop demon will go a long way to keeping any token-based or go-wide-based deck in check. It also works well in tandem with a card like Blood Artist on the field, which will not only punish your opponents for sacrificing creatures, but drain them life. I'll leave the land-based decisions up to you guys, but 2 cards I would strongly recommend are Rogue's Passage and Shinka, the Blood-Soaked Keep. Having numerous ways of making our creatures unblockable is critical to Queen Marchesa, as we always want to make sure that we have the Monarch token and not our opponents. So it's a bit of a no-brainer that Rogue's Passage finds an easy way into our deck. Shinka is a bit different, however, as it only applies to our legendary creatures, but as it's a land that comes into play untapped, generates colored mana, and for 1 red can give our commander first strike, which, when coupled with Death Touch, can stop almost any creature, is an easy inclusion in this deck. Moving to the combo, if you're like me and wanted to build a Mardu commander who didn't move around the combat step, Queen Marchesa is just the commander for you. The amount of card advantage you gain by drawing 2 cards per your turn is huge, and you're able to easily find either a tutor or a combo piece very quickly. The combo I chose to include for this deck involved Nim Deathmantle, Ashnod's Altar, and either Grave Titan or Murderous Redcap. In both instances, you need to have all 3 of the cards on the field in order for the combo to work. Should that creature be Grave Titan, the sequence is sacrifice one of your 2/2 zombie tokens, and then sacrifice Grave Titan, having generated 4 colorless mana, and pay for Nim Deathmantle to bring Grave Titan back and gain you 2 more tokens, which nets you 1 extra token per cycle of the combo. Murderous Redcap is even simpler, as you only have to sacrifice Murderous Redcap, bring him back with Persist, deal damage to a player or creature, then sacrifice it again to gain another 2 mana, and then bring it back with Nim Deathmantle. You then cycle through this loop as many times as it takes to either kill all of your opponents or wipe the boards. It's up to you. Anyway gang, that's my take on Queen Marchesa. She's probably one of the most interesting Mardu commanders we've seen in a long time, and I'm really glad that Wizards of the Coast decided to move away from just sticking to Mardu commanders that swing in the combat step. With a little luck, maybe we'll finally see a Boros commander who does the same. Please be sure to tune in every Monday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video, with other videos popping up throughout the week. This video is brought to you in part by support from my Patreons. If you're looking to help out the channel, please be sure to follow the link below or in the About section. You can also follow me on Twitter with my Twitter account linked in the About section as well. As always, thank you for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.